Well, while we're waiting for this game to start, I guess we can take a quick look at the deck lists. Um, it's going to be Crane versus Scorpion. The Crane deck is splashing Scorpion for calling in favors and fate worse than death. Policy Debate is the restricted card, one above question. That's fun. Two Mia Mystics, so actually a reasonable amount of attachment control, which is not going to matter too much in this game since this Scorp deck has no attachments. No admit defeat. Looks pretty normal other than that though. And then the no attachment Scorpion deck, Let Go and Tattooed Wanderer as the splash, Forged Edict as the restricted card. 3 Assassinate is a little bit surprising actually. You don't usually see that many Assassinates, especially, well, not in any deck really. And Mono no Aware is an interesting card also. You don't see that a lot. 3 of the Cunning Magistrate. That seems kind of excessive, and you don't see this in every Scorpion deck, but it is actually a pretty good card. Being a conflict character, you can really surprise people with it, and then Way of the Scorpion is an easy way to just dishonor somebody and then make them 0 skill, essentially. So that, I think, is actually a pretty strong card, as well as the Unassuming Yojimbo. Covert is always a good ability. Three Miyako. 3 Actress as well. So yeah, very interesting deck from this Scorpion player. I'm pretty sure this guy is like a really good player. I can't remember if he's played in any Kote or not, but I think he is established as a good player. So I trust that he knows what he's doing here. Looks like he has now joined the game here. Yeah, so it looks like Leniel has already decided to forfeit the cup game for this because um, leaving for Origins Wednesday night. Yeah, so he just has real life stuff to do. So he's gonna drop out of the tournament. But we will get a game still to watch. That means, of course, that the Scorpion deck list we looked at a minute ago might not be the same one that he's playing here. But we'll see what happens. He's got Origins, yeah. This match is for education, yep. Should still be an interesting match. Doing mulligans. One thing I've been thinking about, I was talking to Leniel just a minute ago in the Discord League chat about local players. I've been trying to get local people interested in L5R where I live, but I haven't been having a lot of luck. One thing I've been thinking of is doing like a learn to play night where people can just show up and they don't have to have decks already, they can just play with what we have. But I'm not sure how many people are going to be interested. I don't know, it seems like that's probably the way to go, but we'll see. Anyway. Ooh, we see 3 Brash Samurai. And he's just going to play the Guest of Honor. Guest of Honor is really strong in the Scorpion matchup here. Preventing any events that get played during conflicts, so Fate Worse Than Death, Way of the Scorpion, etc. We see a Meek Informant to look at Leniel's hand, 2 For Shames, 2 Policy Debates, 2 Way of the Crane, and a Voice of Honor. So we might see him Way of the Crane his character to turn on the Voice of Honor. But he's not going to do that. He's just going to rely on Guest of Honor to cancel events, I guess. Passes the first conflict. You don't really want to have to attack into Scorpion provinces, generally, if you can avoid it. And I don't want to assume that Leniel is playing his cup deck, so I think I'll wait to see before I start talking about what cards he has. And it looks like we're just going to get a full pass through the conflict phase. Wow. I mean, I guess. If Scorpion attacked there, he wasn't necessarily guaranteed a win. So yeah, I think it was probably the right move to just pass. We see another liar, and one of the brash samurais gets bought. Hopefully this turn will be a little bit more interesting than the last one. Savvy politician, they're both bidding 5 still. So Crane is building up a board here. We see storehouse used. So I expect we might see the brash samurai attack. See a past conflict. Guest of honor. Guest of honor attacking alone finds pilgrimage. Okay. This is the earth ring. And we see no defense. And there is an ornate fan on the guest of honor, so this is going to mean a break on pilgrimage. And we see a way of the crane, honoring savvy politician. And so he played Way of the Crane during that conflict, which means simcof couldn't have canceled it. We do know that he had 2 Way of the Crane, so I'm not sure if that really mattered, but Earthring is going to discard an assassinate. So that was probably the best case for provinces to find there. Simcof could have defended, but that would leave him vulnerable to the second attack, I guess. He attacks and finds meditations, which is definitely the best one to find here, since that Bayushi Lyre has no fate. We see a Finger of Jade on the savvy politician, so he can't be assassinated. He'll still need to play another card here if he wants to win on defense. This will be preventing the Void Ring if he can win this. We see a Court Games. Mill Favor not looking so hot now, yeah. Yeah, he probably would have preferred to have political favor during this conflict. If he has a fan, though, that'll put him in the lead. But he did already commit a fan. Simcof says misclick. Oh, he wanted to not use the Court Games, I guess. Okay, so leniel played a Court Games, dishonoring Bayushi Lyre. So that is going to turn off any potential forged edicts in the Scorpion's hand. We see a Voice of Honor to cancel assassination, and a For Shame to bow Bayushi Lyre. So now leniel is winning this on defense, and it looks like he's in a pretty good spot. The Scorpion player does have 15 fate, of course, which is a lot of fate. City of the Open Hand gets used. So I think ideally here, leniel wants to find... Okay, well he finds meditations, that's fine. What you probably don't want to find is secret cache. He is going to break this, it looks like, which is going to discard the shoju. Yep, simcof passes, so that's going to break. So things are looking good for leniel at this point. That was the last conflict. Resolves the erring, gaining 2 honor. I don't like the gain 2 honor. I think I would have stolen 1 honor. But maybe he intends to just win this on by breaking the stronghold, so he doesn't expect it to go to dishonor. We see a test of skill in the fate phase, revealing fate worse than death, and calling in favors. A lot of scorpion cards, discards the fate worse than death, takes the other 2. So yeah, we'll see what simcof can do with this fate advantage. That's really the only thing he has still going for him at this point. Finds an illustrious plagiarist and a Bayushi manipulator with 22 fate. So I have to expect he just plays both of these characters. And then maybe he has like a Kachiko in his hand, would be the best case. Yeah, we see the illustrious plagiarist with 4 fate. And then leniel just passed, so yeah, he just plays the manipulator as well. Steals an honor. And we'll see what they want to draw. A lot of cards in hand on both sides. Leniel's going to be 3 to 5. Manipulator gets used, so he gives up 3 honor, putting him all the way down to 4. Yeah, so this again is kind of why I would have probably wanted to steal an honor. He would be down at 3 now. It'll just make it a little bit harder for him to keep drawing a lot of cards. But we'll see. This guest of honor is still on the board and still very strong at 7 political strength. We see the cautious scout attack into shameful display, and with the military favor he's actually breaking this. So we will see a defense here from the plagiarist. The top event is for shame, which he can use because he's a courtier. If he has a Way of the Scorpion, he can get a bow off of that. Illustrious Plagiarist copies for shame. This is the firing, so he probably is going to fire to honor Savvy Politician, I guess. I mean, using Savvy Politician's ability... Okay, he just Way the Cranes on Savvy Politician. Yeah, I was going to say, with this firing, what you really want to do is dishonor one of Scorpion's characters. Noble Sacrifice, yeah. Illustrious Plagiarist, Dishonors Cautious Scout. Yeah, if you can get the Noble Sacrifice here on the Illustrious Plagiarist, that's obviously the best case scenario. But even if you don't have Noble Sac in hand, you still want to dishonor one of their characters, since they have low honor. We see a fine katana, try to break this shameful display. We'll see if Scorpion has another card. He has an actual for shame. But that doesn't quite stop the break. He needs one more, either another for shame or his own katana maybe. Oh, is this a forged edict? Maybe canceling a cancel? There's a dishonor on the manipulator and a dishonor on the plagiarist. Ooh. So we see a bonsai on plagiarist, 2 forged edicts to cancel 2 voices of honor. So if leniel has noble sac now, that's actually, so if he has noble sac now, that's probably just the game. We see a steward of law. He can use shameful display now, and I think he should do that. Since the cautious scout is no longer attacking alone. Hopefully he remembers to do that. If you have noble sac there, you just play it though. So I think fate worse than death. So I don't like that. I think you should have used shameful first. But like I was saying, if you have noble sac, you just immediately play it here because forged edict is turned off. How many has he played? He's only played 2. So yeah, that's turned off. And he is going to win that on defense. This Adaptive Shadows is pretty good here since he has so much fate, although he is very low on honor, so he might not be able to return that to his hand. He wants to protect the province at all costs. Yeah, the better way actually to protect that province would have been to use shameful when the steward of law was in the conflict to re-honor your plagiarist. And then when you fate worse than death the steward of law, you don't have to play the Adaptive Shadows. I think that was just a mistake on his part to not use shameful display. Unless he's saving it for the next conflict, which is possible, but I'm not sure. We see an unassuming Yojimbo, and he calling in favors a Finger of Jade. But yeah, this board state is just not looking very good for Scorpion. He now has 3 dishonored characters with only 3 honor. He's going to contest the watering here. Did he covert? He must have coverted guest of honor. We see a policy debate which gets cancelled by Finger of Jade. Ooh, and another fate worse than death on the savvy politician. So he is going to try to break this, which means he'll have to do the big bonsai. So that puts him down to 2 honor. Very risky. And he is out of fate as well. But he is going to break Fertile Fields. which means he will probably get the Imperial Favor if he can make it through this turn. So one political conflict left. Maybe with Guest of Honor you just attack. The last face down one is Secret Cache. He is just going to attack at Shameful. So the fact that Shameful didn't get used in that first conflict is going to come into play here. He'll be able to probably honor the Illustrious Plagiarist, and dishonor the Guest of Honor. He will still be losing, and it actually will still be breaking unless he has an attachment. And defending with the Manipulator wouldn't even help since that's a 0-0 right now. So he does need either an attachment. Yeah, he doesn't have Fate for a conflict character, so I think he just has to have like a fan to prevent this break. Can't play any conflict characters, he can't play any events because of Guest of Honor. So he needs exactly a fan. We should see Shameful Display get used. Oh, he meant to defend with Bayushi Manipulator. That makes sense. So yeah, since Bayushi Manipulator is leaving play this turn, he has to re-honor him since he's going to lose this airing. Yeah, and then he leaves the Illustrious Plagiarist out for his last conflict, which will probably be Void. So, I mean, if Scorpion can somehow stabilize this, he might actually have a chance here. He's getting Favor this turn, and he will actually still have a board going into next turn. Whoop. And they both dishonored Guest of Honor. Okay, so both characters go to neutral. Of course, that could just not matter if leniel has a... Ooh, he has a policy debate. Okay, so let's see what's in the hand. Ambush, Assassinate, Bonsai. So a lot of cards here that are just dead, pretty much. The Censure will be live next turn. Court Games will be good to honor the Plagiarist. Noble Sack, interesting. Discards, yeah, I think the Court Games is correct. But yeah, like I was saying, if leniel has a Court Games here, he can just win the game. But he does not. That is, however, going to be a break on Shameful Display, and the airing will take one honor. So I just want to point out right now that if he had taken one honor on that airing earlier instead of gaining two, I think he would have just won. So I'm going to stand by what I said, that stealing one was the correct choice there. As it stands, he passed his conflict opportunity. So we do know that leniel has a Fate Worse Than Death in hand. I guess that was probably why he passed. That does mean that the Guest of Honor will be lasting another turn. This is where Outwit comes in handy, yeah, for sure. Just outwit the Bayushi Manipulator for the win there. So we do know that there's a live censure this turn. This guest of honor staying from the beginning of the game, though, has been really big. Would get boxed anyway, that's true. Since the illustrious plagiarist has 2 skill currently, he can actually get boxed. But, I mean, he has favor now, but yeah, he didn't have favor last turn for that last attack. Yeah, he just got favor because he had an Imperial Palace. So, first turn we had 3 Brash Samurai in the exact same spots, I think, and now we get 3 Doji Challenger. That's fun. I mean, Doji Challenger is a good card, so you can't really complain too much. And he has a ton of fate. Yeah, 3 times Brash at start. Rival is a card. Leniel would like to challenge some people, yeah. He only plays 2. Unfortunate. Scorpion steals an honor back. So Scorpion being first player, I think he's going to want to try and win an air ring here. He still has to watch out for that noble sack, although leniel did only draw... Ooh, test of skill. This is from simcof, okay. So he finds a Court Games and a Way of the Scorpion. Those are 2 good cards. I need to get some Way of the Crane full arts. I don't have those. I already have Scorpion and Crab. Yeah, so I think these 2 characters go in on an air attack. And you could go military or political since your stats are balanced. If you go political, box can get used on you, but that's probably not a big deal since you get the covert. Attacking a face-down province, so he's either going to find Shameful Display or... Oh, wait. Yeah, Shameful Display or Manicured Gardens, probably. And he finds Shameful Display. So... yeah, feels bad. I guess you can't really attack into meditations, because then your Yojimbo just gets... leaves play at the end of the turn. It's actually... oh, so he's contesting the watering to try to just bow out this guest of honor. But yeah, that Shameful Display is pretty unfortunate there. He will now need another card. He got away the Scorpion, so he can play that, and he does. Not sure what else is in his hand currently. It's an ambush, calling in favors, for shame. So Way of the Crane, I think you play the for shame here. Yeah. Now Crane needs another card. Ooh, he had a favorable grounds. I must not have seen that. So that is actually just going to probably turn off any other attempts for Scorpion to win this conflict. However, you're probably okay with that because the point of winning this conflict was to bow Guest of Honor, and now you're bowing Guest of Honor, so it's alright. But yeah, losing the coin flip and finding Shameful Display there was pretty bad. Just pass now, yeah. Because that was the whole point. If you win, you bow Guest of Honor, so if you don't even have to win to bow Guest of Honor, then you don't care if you win. Um, not interested in winning this turn, it seems. Yeah. So, I mean, if he can get an air ring, entrenched position, if he can actually win this air ring, he can win this turn, but I don't think he can because of ambush. But you can at least pull the illustrious plagiarist. Ambush is... Oh yeah, we do see him play it. Hand and or provinces, okay. So it's not graveyard. I always think it's graveyard. I get it confused with cavalry reserves. Discard pile, I guess I should say. We see favored niece, discarded noble sack. Pretty dead on this board. Defender is winning, which is good. So these two favored nieces are gonna... He can take a crane character with actress and honor it with plagiarist. Oh, that's true. So yeah, the top... That's a good call. The top event in Crane's discard pile is Way the Crane. And Shosuro actress can take a crane character and then honor it. Of course, she could have taken a brash samurai who can honor himself anyway, but if he takes savvy politician, then he can honor two characters. So that would actually be really strong. I think that is the play to pull, but it has to be during a conflict, so he'll need a conflict character. And he only has one fate. Yeah, so it looks like he's not going to be able to do that, unfortunately. So he will go back down to 1 honor. His stronghold will bring him back up to 2. Yeah, that feels like a really big missed opportunity. I think he should have just done that in that last conflict even. Because then you get 1 when Savvy leaves play, and then you also don't lose 1 for actress being dishonored, or you re-honor one the plagiarist maybe. So then he would be back up at potentially 3 honor here. Feels bad, leave actress unused. Yeah, definitely. I think that was just a misplay. We see the last Doji Challenger get played. Well, there's another actress. Way of the Crane is still there. You can try it again. Plagiarist was unused that turn, yeah, because Way of the Crane was the top event. Ooh, 2 plagiarists. And a Kakita Yoshi with no fate. Interesting. So I'm not a very big fan of playing 2 plagiarists here because the current top event is still Way of the Crane. So you're essentially just relying on leniel playing another event at this point. We see City of Lies get used. See what he's going to do with that. Maybe just using it early. He's played all 3 Fate Worse Than Death. He only has 3 Fate anyway, though. Test of Skill. Naming event, so he gets Censure and Ambush. The Ambush is playable. He has 3 Fate. Ooh, so Ambush could put Shosuro Actress into play, and then he could bring in the Savvy Politician with her. So he might get another chance for that here. We've already seen all 3 Voice of Honors, and there's no favor, so there are no cancels possible. We're seeing a very large political conflict. At entrenched position, defending with... I mean, whoever doesn't defend is just going to get pulled in, essentially, unless he breaks, so I don't think it really matters too much who you defend with here. Obviously, you defend with the two plagiarists to try and prevent the break. We see a Way of the Scorpion on Yoshi. Now you can... Yeah, only 3 cards left in his deck, so... I mean, as long as he keeps bidding 1, that's still like 4 more turns, so... Shouldn't be a big problem. We see Century to cancel policy debate. Still breaking. I think we will see the ambush probably played this conflict. We see a court games to dishonor one of the challengers. Crane Stronghold gets used. Interesting that he dishonored the 2-Fate challenger. I think he dishonored one of the 1-Fate challengers. Probably doesn't matter too much though. Oh yeah, so policy debate is in the discard now, so he can't copy Way of the Crane. He can, however, copy policy debate, and policy debate this dishonored challenger. We see ambush on a Yunako. So she is going to be able to switch her own stats. At some point here, I expect one of the Doji challengers will pull in the Yojimbo. And I think he should have gone air here. Because if you win an airing, even if you don't break, you steal 1 honor and then unassuming Yojimbo dies, and then you win. Flip Yoshi and then policy debate him twice. Yeah, we could see that as well. He is currently a 0-3, so that would actually be a bigger swing. So yeah, you should do that. Ooh, we see another Century to cancel Fate Worse Than Death. Ooh, and now now the illustrious plagiarists get to copy Fate Worse Than Death. This is potentially a big misplay from Crane here. How many centuries is that? 2? So he is now going to get to Fate Worse Than Death both of these Doji challengers. Yeah, do that right now, definitely. We see a 4 shame on the other illustrious plagiarist. Now that one should copy... Oh, well, that's too late now. Well, he got 1 Fate Worse Than Death. So I do expect to see him Fate Worse Than Death one of these challengers. You could still cancel for, or you could copy For Shame as well. It would have hit the bin from PD even if he didn't play it. Yeah, that's fair. So leniel potentially just didn't have a choice here. If he copies For Shame, he can bow out Yoshi. That would be 4 to 5 after he swapped Yunako. Or he could dishonor the challenger and swap Yoshi. Be 3 to 2. Bayushi Yunako switches Bayushi Yunako's military and political skill. Ooh, but there's a court games to dishonor her. So with all these dishonored cards coming out, all of a sudden it looks like simcof might just lose on dishonor. But he still has one of the illustrious plagiarists, and he's going to copy a court games. And I would guess re-honor his Yunako. Five cards in hand for simcof, 4 for leniel. Doji Challenger moves in the Yojimbo. And so I think Joe was saying that's 2 challengers leaving play because of 2 Fate Worse Than Deaths, probably. But since he only got one of those off, only one of them is going to leave play. Yeah, we see a re-honor on Yunako. Takar is still winning the conflict, so again, I think he should have gone air here. We see something happening. For Shame bows Doji Challenger, so now he's winning. So yeah, he is going to win that on defense. And the whole board will bow out from both sides. We'll see if there is a conflict character. We haven't seen... Nope, it looks like he passes conflict. We've only seen one Steward of Law, it looks like, for conflict characters, so maybe leniel just not getting the draws he needs, not seeing all those conflict characters this game. And simcof will live to fight another turn. I think it's really crazy how long he's been able to hold off this game. And I just want to point out one more time, I feel like I keep saying this, but earlier in the game, leniel did an air attack and decided to gain 2 honor instead of stealing 1 honor, which I think would be very relevant in this game. I feel like against Scorpion you should almost always steal the honor, unless you're like really, really low and you need to... Scorpion Stronghold, fair and balanced, yeah, for sure. We see a young rumor monger and Kakita Sami, which will probably be pretty big here. Guest of honor as well. So this is a pretty big political board coming in from leniel. simcof is first player, so he will get the first chance to declare a conflict. I think he will probably want to take the air ring. So you probably go like a military attack with... maybe military with rumor monger on air. And and then if it goes bad, you can just favorable ground home. But we'll see. We see both of the plagiarists get used right away to copy the court games. Seems good. So he's going to get to re-honor his characters, probably. The plagiarists have actually been doing a lot of work this game. That's a card that I feel like I really like, but we don't see it. We see it in some Scorpion decks, but not every Scorpion deck. It's a really fun ability. Like, it's not always good, but it's interesting. Yeah, so the young rumor monger, he's actually going firing. I guess that's fine. Now, these court games with the young rumor monger does mean that he could potentially redirect a dishonor onto the Asami. But it's hard to see him still not losing an honor to her ability. We see a Way of the Scorpion. I think you don't redirect this. Probably. Maybe you do. I would want to just leave it on the challenger. But we'll see. He actually dishonors the guest of honor instead of the doji challenger. So that might suggest a noble sacrifice. We've seen 3 tests of skill and 1 noble sack get discarded, so he probably has 1 more noble sack in his deck. He could be trying to set that up here. 3 to 6 free airings from your stronghold. Yeah, what turn is it? Turn 6. So he's probably gotten at least 4 or 5 free airings from the stronghold. Seems fair. We see a bonsai canceled with Forged Edict. So that means that now that the rumor monger is dishonored, he won't be able to noble sack. Doji challenger moves home. So he will get this firing. Yeah, I'm not sure why you redirect that dishonor onto guest of honor unless you're going to noble sack. Yeah, he just passes. Just take the win here. Yeah, so I would have liked to see that probably be airing instead of fire. But again, he might have been trying to set up the noble sack, I'm not sure. And for the firing... So what is Scorpion's endgame here? He dishonors Asami. I mean, I guess the endgame is to just not lose the game, right? And then if you just make it long enough, you eventually dishonor him because you keep stealing with the stronghold. I don't know, it's hard to tell. We're seeing a military attack with the Doji Challenger. This is a Void Ring. I think this is a mistake. I think this should be... I think this should be an air attack. Because then you force him to defend, and then you can also pull in the other plagiarist. Although he could favorable ground home, I guess. I don't know. So by forcing the plagiarists into a military attack, you make it so they can't use court games. Interesting that he defends with one. Dodgy Challenger is going to pull the other one in, and then he's going to favorable grounds home. Crane attack mill with both challengers. I think attacking with just one challenger is the correct call. Void represents -1 honor as well. Yeah, that's a good point. Voiding off this plagiarist means he'll be losing an honor at the end of the turn anyway, so since that does have 3 fate on it, that might actually be the correct decision. But yeah, I like just attacking with one challenger because he has the favorable ground anyway, and if he doesn't defend, he's kind of in a bad spot. So I think no matter what happens, he defends with one, you pull the other one, and then he favorable grounds home. And you're also turning off one of the court games that way, so, and you still win the conflict. Looks like we're seeing this plagiarist. He'll probably attack air political and then honor himself. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 political skill on Crane's side. So he's going to do a full defense and steal an honor as his first action. We'll see court games get used here. Oh, wait. Plagiarist doesn't have to be in the conflict to use court games. For some reason I was thinking he had to be in the conflict. But yeah, he can still use the other court games, actually. Leniel uses court games, so yeah, he should remember that here and use the other one to re-honor. Ooh, he passes. Yeah, so that's a mistake. And that does mean he's just going to lose the game now. Yeah. He can't, I think. Oh, because right. It's max 1 for conflict anyway, yeah, so he can't do that anyway. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so that was a pretty interesting game. Yeah, court games max 1 for conflict was the reason. Should have countered calling in favors. Yeah, so he was trying to set up noble sack there, but it didn't work out. Too much dishonor from the Crane side to be able to pull that off. All of the 4 shames, fate worse than death. There's so many ways to dishonor people in this game, and not quite as many ways to honor people, so especially in a matchup like this, there's just, you can tell there's 7 characters on the board and 6 of them are dishonored. But yeah, that was a good game. Definitely interesting to watch. So yeah, I guess that's gonna do it. Too greedy on passing fate, turn 1-2 maybe. Leniel pass first. 15 fate is nice and all, but suffering 2 breaks is not. Yeah. Yeah, I think he just played Bayushi Liar the first 2 turns. So the first turn was funny. That was when he bought Bayushi Liar to a guest of honor with 3 fate, and then they both just passed all their conflicts. He even played a Meek Informant that turn. Kind of a waste of that card if you're just going to pass your conflicts anyway. And then the next turn it was Bayushi Liar to Brash Samurai and Savvy Politician. Yeah. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this game. So thanks everyone for watching. See you next time.